Obi-Wan Kenobi is almost here. Today I'm going to run through everything you need to know for the series. The trailers have confirmed the appearance of a handful of Star Wars characters and locations that might be familiar to fans who have watched the animated series or read the comics or played the video games, but if you've only kept up with the movies and live-action series, I don't want you to be left in the dark, so here's a bit of a crash course on everything that I think will be important. The story is going to take place 10 years after Revenge of the Sith, which places it 9 years before A New Hope, almost right smack dab in the middle. Ewan McGregor has described Obi-Wan at this point in time as a broken man after what happened with the Jedi Order, but also what happened with Anakin, that he lost him to the dark side. He feels an enormous amount of responsibility for that and guilt. I think this will be a different version of Obi-Wan than we have ever seen before. He probably won't be a confident Jedi Master, he will be unbalanced in the Force with all the guilt and shame he's feeling. I'm sure it's hard to put that behind him with Owen Lars roasting him every time they talk, but I think the emotional story of this series will be about Kenobi finding the strength to move past the guilt and forgive himself to reclaim who he was and can be in the future. But Owen won't be his only antagonist. We know Imperial Inquisitors will be making their live-action debut in this series. They first appeared in the animated series Star Wars Rebels, but are also prominent in the video game Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order and the Darth Vader comics by Charles Soule. To put it simply, they are Jedi hunters. They're made up of former Jedi who fell to the dark side or were tortured and broken into servitude to the Emperor. Most of them carry special double-bladed lightsabers that are able to spin around the hilt seen on display in the teaser trailer. They also have repulsor lifts built into the hilts which allow them to fly. I don't think we'll be seeing that in live action, but I figured I'd mention it so it might not come as a complete shock if it does happen. We've seen 4 Inquisitors in the trailers, one is unknown so far. The third sister, whose real name is Reva, is the human played by Moses Ingram. The 5th brother is played by Sung Kang. He is an unknown species, but appeared throughout the 2nd season of Star Wars Rebels until he was killed by Maul. But that all takes place a good 6 years after this series, so you can expect him to survive. The Inquisitors all answer to the Grand Inquisitor played by Rupert Friend. He is a Padawan and was formerly a member of the Jedi Temple Guard. As seen in the Clone Wars series, they were responsible for guarding the Jedi Temple. But he fell to the dark side because he felt like he deserved access to the deepest and darkest secrets of the Jedi archives, and the librarian Jocasta Nu disagreed. He also appeared as the primary villain of the first season of Star Wars Rebels. The Inquisitors have their home base on the ocean moon of Nur. We've seen it several times in the trailers, both the interior and exterior. Looking out the window, you'll note that they are underwater. The Fortress Inquisitorius first appeared in the video game Fallen Order, where it was infiltrated by a surviving Jedi named Cal Kestis. And he really messed parts of it up. But it's been 5 years since all that, so I imagine the fortress has been fixed by the time of the series. In the trailer, we can also briefly see Purge Troopers. They were specialized, black-armored stormtroopers that often accompanied Inquisitors on their missions. They were specifically trained to hunt and kill Jedi. At one point, they were clones, but by this point, I expect they will have been largely replaced like we've seen in Fallen Order, but you never know until the helmets come off. Nur is located very close to Mustafar, where Darth Vader's own fortress was built. That's because the Inquisitors ultimately answer to him, even if their general manager is the Grand Inquisitor. Obviously, we know Hayden Christensen is making his triumphant return to Star Wars by putting the suit on again, so don't be surprised to see him running around with the Inquisitors. We also know bounty hunters are going to be joining the search for Obi-Wan. The second trailer gave us a quick look at one who looks an awful lot like 4LOM, a droid hunter briefly seen in The Empire Strikes Back. He usually works with his pal Zuckuss, so I wouldn't be surprised to see him on the prowl as well. And while we're talking about familiar faces, there is one that I hope to see, although we're entering speculation mode now. At the end of Revenge of the Sith, you probably remember Yoda told Obi-Wan that he could learn to communicate with his former master, Qui-Gon Jinn, through the netherworld of the Force. In the Clone Wars series, we got to see how Qui-Gon learned to retain his consciousness in the Force after death. At that point, he was just a voice, but the story Master and Apprentice by Claudia Gray has shown us that over time he learned to become visible as well. So fingers crossed we see Liam Neeson reprising his role again. I could see that playing a part in Obi-Wan's journey. Some of the old Star Wars legend stories have told of Kenobi's struggles to speak with Qui-Gon, and I think that's worth exploring again on screen. If Obi-Wan is unbalanced in the Force, talking to someone who has become one with the Force would probably be a challenge. So he's gonna have to re-find that balance within himself. But that's it for today. If you haven't already, please like this video, subscribe to the channel to keep up with all our Obi-Wan Kenobi coverage, follow us on TikTok, Twitter, and Instagram, and consider checking out our Patreon page for even more like reactions and audio commentaries for every episode as they come out. As always, thanks for watching, and may the Force be with you.